Keys to victory, I'd say automatically the first thing that's going to come to my mind is protecting the football. Winning the time of possession battle, like you just mentioned, is going to be something else that's huge. Our front seven has to win fast.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a one that I stand on as well. Maybe more so than the second one. Our front seven has to win fast. Like we can't afford to allow Derek Carr to sit in the pocket for 3.5, 4 seconds and expect our cornerbacks to hold up. Because I hate to tell you, it's just simply not going to happen. It's just simply not going to happen. So those would be the keys that I would offer up. And don't put your defense in jeopardy.
yeah.
Offense, don't put your defense in jeopardy. Protect the football. Protect the football.
Yeah, that kind of goes along with my keys. We have to play a mistake-free football game. Can't turn the ball over. We have to wrap up. We have to tackle. We have to be able to play physical, play fast, but don't let that lead to getting out of position and having blown assignments. As cornerbacks, you have to go for broke this game. This is a game that, is going to be battle tested. Like we know the caliber receivers that we have to play down the road in the Vikings and Miami. And this is a game that you can get in Dallas.
Sorry, not to cut you off. Go ahead.
But this is a game that you can get very much well in tune with how the outcome of those games will look secondary-wise. So this is just the start of an uphill battle, honestly. And so, yeah, like I said, protect the ball, be a physical football team, play as mistake-free as possible, wrap up, tackle, communicate, and just go play winning football.
Keys for a Panthers win.
Just what I already went over. You got to get dirty. You got to get dirty. You don't win this game if you don't get dirty.
I think this kind of, re-emphasizing the point that you made, Tavian. I think that we will learn a lot about this football team as a whole this week. We will learn a lot about this football team as a whole this week. Secondary-wise, like Terrence just touched on, it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. It's going to be very difficult. I hope that as a coaching staff, from a defensive standpoint, I hope our secondary coach, along with D'Angelo Hall and everybody else that that contributes to that group, I hope that point is being emphasized. Like this week is not last week. Like last week you had an off day. Like if we're just being honest. Last week you played against a subpar quarterback, and I'd even be generous in saying that because I'd even say that Desmond Ridder is a bad quarterback only because the Atlanta Falcons themselves don't trust him. So they never let him go. They threw one pass maybe down the field. This week is not last week. This is a more experienced quarterback. He's been in, as many situations as you can think of. He's played at a very high level for an extended amount of time. He's no slouch. He's no slouch, and you're not dealing with Drake London. You're not dealing with Drake London and Mac Hollins. You're dealing with Olave and Michael Thomas, and even when he's showing signs of being one of them once.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is I was texting Terrence while y'all were at the game about this. You're not going to see this happen this week. You won't see the Saints come out and run the ball 3 times in a row because they don't trust Derek Carr. The Falcons came out and ran the ball on one of their drives 3 times, and it was 3rd and 6.
I know exactly what drive you're talking about. When the fans started booing,
right? And they still ran the ball. That's not happening this week because Derek Carr is just not going out like that. Yeah. One of the game clips at the end of the game. Matter of fact, Derek Carr went over to his coach and told him, "Give me one. We're going deep." Jameis Winston over there on the sideline, wide out. Yeah. Go deep. Then they went deep to Shaheed. And that's what put them ultimately in position to win the game.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough challenge. Again, going back to a point that you made, this can be very indicative on what the rest of the season looks like for the Carolina Panthers. We still have no timetable on J.C. Horn, I'd assume.
Ship him.
Just because, I mean, yeah, we talked about that on Wednesday, but yeah. We still have no real timeline on him. Even when he comes back, we don't know what he's going to look like. We don't know if he'll be able to go 85, 90% of the defensive snaps. One of them young guys like C.J. Henderson or Troy Hill, even Lamar Jackson, who they brought in this Tuesday, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, and that's going to be just this matchup as a whole is going to be indicative on the division run.
Yep.
Because this division is going to be tough. I made a comment on Wednesday on the podcast that, the Atlanta Falcons wouldn't win any more than 6 games. But, I mean, you really can't never tell. Like, you never know. Like, obviously, to me personally, I don't think the Atlanta Falcons are better than us based on what I seen Sunday. I think, like I mentioned on the podcast on Wednesday again, I think if we play that game 10 times, I think we win 9 of them. What I know for a fact is if we don't turn the football over, we win that football game 9 times out of 10. Matter of fact, we win that football game 10 times out of 10 because they didn't do anything. And again, they didn't trust Desmond Ridder enough to force the issue down the field. Like Tavian just mentioned, there was a drive and this was a drive in the second half. If I'm not mistaken, it was the fourth quarter where they ran the ball 3 times in a row. That's just simply not going to happen. That being said, the Atlanta Falcons, to me, are not a good football team. Based on what I seen Sunday, I know that, I made the statement over the summer that if it came down to it, it would be between us and the Atlanta Falcons to win the division. It would be that Week 17 or Week 18 matchup, whichever one where we host them. I don't know if my stance remains the same after what I've seen Week 1. I think it'll be between us and New Orleans, just simply based on the fact that I don't think that Tampa Bay is going to win the type games that they won this past week. I don't think that they're a good football team either. But this is a chance for us to prove that we're not in that same boat. Because you have a lot of fans in the NFC South that thinks that what I'm saying is extremely hypocritical. Because who am I to come on here and say that none of those teams are good football teams when we look the way that we looked on Sunday? And transparently, they'd be right in having that stance. Huge test on Monday. I think we pull it out because I think that this coaching staff will prepare properly. And I think the guys will fall in line properly this week. However, if we don't, we're in a world of trouble. What would you like to say to wrap it up?
I don't really have much to say. I give my score prediction. I'm going to go – where did I go? I think I went like 17-10 last game. I'm going to go 21-17. I don't think that it's extremely outlandish for me to think that we're going to score 21 points. But, I mean, we scored 10. It was a lot of those drives where we should have got a touchdown on the 4th and 1 where we got stopped. There was a few other drives where, the Miles Sanders drive, I think that we would have scored on that drive if he didn't fumble. So I think that it's not outlandish for me to say we can put up 21 points. So I think if the defense steps up, if we can hold them to even 14, then we should win the game. We have to. But I'm going to just go 21-17.
I think I'm going to go I think I would go 28-17. Just because I think their offense is more explosive. I wanted to go 24-17, but I think their offense is more explosive than Atlanta's. So that's why I'm going to give them another touchdown. And I do think your offense has a better showing, but it's going to be tough.
You think that we win?
No.
From an unbiased standpoint?
No, 28-17.
New Orleans?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Got you. Fuck, man. I mean, I hate that I'm going to do this, but I think that if I'm just judging it from just as a football fan and not a Panthers fan, I'd have to, be honest with myself and say that the New Orleans Saints win this game. unfortunately, because I think that we have, everything that we just gave y'all in this, 20, 25-minute span. I think that somewhere you go awry. Somewhere something doesn't click. Like Terrence has been saying throughout the duration of this episode, you have to play mistake-free football. I think that this team is a little too young to play mistake-free football. And I think that with a team like the New Orleans Saints, again, like Terrence said, you have to play mistake-free football. I think this team is too young to do that. I think that I'm going to go Saints 24-13. Obviously, that's not what I want. But at the same time, like, we have to maintain our what's the word that I'm looking for? I guess our purity, so to speak, in the fact that, like, we got to be honest. If we just came out here and jumped off the fucking ledge every episode, y'all wouldn't tune in. To a certain degree, y'all tune in because y'all know we know what the fuck we talking about, right? And so I'm not mad at your score at all.
Yeah.
I think that we can beat them. And I think that if we play mistake-free football like you've been harping on, we do win the football game by the score that you said. However, I don't believe that we can do that because we're so young and it's only week 2 of the season. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints, 24-13.
Yeah, but I think it has to be a chip on our shoulders. And I know it's game 2 of the season, but this is a must-win football game. I think that if you have any shot at the division, if you have any shot of making the playoffs, you can't lose the first 2 games in your division. You can't do that. I don't think that this division is as sweet as it was last year. So that's another reason why I have us winning, because it's a must-win game, and that has to be something that's preached in the locker room if they're being honest with the players. Like, you have to win this game. And so if they go in there with that chip on their shoulder, then we should be seeing a different outcome. But I hope you're wrong.
Did you have something to say? You look like you had something to say when I was talking.
I was just going to say, I really think the Panthers could go out there on Monday night and play mistake-free football and still lose, just because the Saints have a more talented roster, top to bottom.
Fair enough.
Unfortunately.
No, I mean, it's not unfortunate. We got to maintain our purity. That could, if you take the rosters side by side, you take the teams away, and you look at, what has been accomplished and what has, certain players have done, things of that nature, you have a point to be made there. Especially when you look at DJ Chark as a question mark, when you look at J.C. Horn is going to be unavailable, when you look at the fact that we don't necessarily know if Deion Jones will play, we don't know if Kamu will play, even us banking on guys like that to, like you said earlier, having Kamu play to possibly cover Jawan Johnson just based on his speed and his ability to win routes. Even with us having to rely on guys like that, that's a solid point.
Yeah. I think I just have to take into account that I know I said that it's a different year, but we did beat them last year. So I don't think that this team is unbeatable or anything like that, and I don't think y'all are hinting at that at all. But I think we played a nasty physical football game with them the 2 times we played them last year. Like, one of our touchdowns came off of, like, we just ripped the nigga and took it to the crib. So I think that we have the ability to get nasty and physical with them. And so that's another reason why I do feel like that we can and we will win this game.
Good point. Unfortunately, it's a division game. Anything is possible.
Anything is possible.